Hey everybody, Dr. Nelson here. This is a video lesson about using equations to solve problems involving the constant of proportionality. Alright, so before we do that, just a quick reminder, or a quick review. Remember that if there is a proportional relationship between two quantities, the relationship can be represented by the following equation. Alright, so again, y equals k times x. Remember, k stands for the constant of proportionality. So sometimes writing an equation is the easiest way to solve a problem. So let me give an example. All right. So here's the scenario. It says Dr. Larry visited 24 patients in 3 days. How many days did it take Larry to visit 40 patients? Assume the data is proportional. All right. So the question is, okay, how many days did it take Larry to visit 40 patients? All right, so first of all, notice we have a table. Okay, so the days worked are the x values, and the patients visited are the y values. So let's fill in what we know. All right, so we know that Dr. Larry visited 24 patients. So this is going to be the y value in 3 days. And the question is, how many days did it take Larry to visit 40 patients? All right, so this is going to be 40. And the question is, how long would it take him to visit 40 patients, knowing that this data is proportional? So what we're going to do is we're going to use these equations, okay, to solve for this x value. All right. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to solve for k. So to solve for k, we need to take a y value and divide it by x. So here we go. So we're going to take this 24 and divide it by 3. So when I do 24 and I divide it by 3, we get a k value of 8. All right, so 8 equals k. So now what we can do is we can plug in what we know to solve for x. All right, so I'm going to write down y equals k times x. And I'm going to plug in what we know. All right, we now know that k equals 8. So it's going to be 8x equals, and we know that the patient, Dr. Larry, visited 40 patients. So we know that 40 equals 8 times x. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to solve this equation. So I'm going to now divide by 8 and divide by 8. And 40 divided by 8 gives us 5. So we now know that it took Larry 5 days to visit 40 patients. Let's do one more together. All right, so here's the scenario. It says Nelson traveled 360 miles in 6 days. How many days did it take Nelson to travel 480 miles? Okay, again, assume that the data is proportional. So let's plug in what we know. So again, the days are the x values, and the miles traveled are the y values. And the one ratio we know is that Nelson traveled 360 miles in 6 days. So I'm going to put a 6 here for the x value. And I'm going to put a 360 here for the y value. And the question is, how many days did it take Nelson to travel 480 miles? So this is going to be the unknown, all right? And then this is going to be 480. And again, we're going to use these two equations here and here to solve for it, right? So first thing we need to do is we need to get the unit rate, or the constant of proportionality, by solving for k. Remember, the way you solve for k is you take the y value and divide it by x, okay? So to do that, I'm going to do 360. I'm going to divide it by 6. And by doing that, I get a k value of 60. So that means, that 60 means that it's 60 miles per day traveled. All right, that's the constant of proportionality. So now what we're going to do is I'm now going to use this equation here, okay, to solve for this unknown. Okay, so I'm going to write down y equals k times x and plug in what we know. All right, we know that the y value is 480, so it's going to be 480 equals 60 times x. All right. And now I'm going to divide both sides by 60 like you would to solve equation. And when I do 480 divided by 60, you get x equals 8. So the answer is, okay, it would take Nelson, okay, 8 days to travel 480 miles.